clarity and simplicity of this unit. So lots of good reasons there for using the Kobo and Soar. Right, hardware. We're at a bit of a changing point at the moment. I mean, today most of us have been using probably these two models here, the Mini and the Touch, and a few people out there using the Glow. But that's a little bit more expensive because it's got a backlight, so you tend not to see so many of those. And all of these, they stopped making them 2 years ago, so all of these older Kobos, they're all between 2 years and 6 years old. Most of them are running fine, but you know, we need new equipment. Lucky enough, I mean, these started reappearing over the last year. The Touch 2, which is a slightly upgraded Touch there, same size, 6-inch screen. But this is going to be the absolute killer, the Glow HD. All of a sudden they jumped from 170 DPI to 300. So it's a really nice high resolution screen. And that, I mean, that definition is so good. You can actually put mountainous areas on there now and switch the terrain on, and you can start to see where you are, which you couldn't quite see on the older Kobos. Clarity is just so nice. I mean, if anybody's interested, I've got a custom unit in there later if you want to look at how good it is. I mean, it's just such a big improvement. We're starting to pay a little bit more. It's £110, but I mean, compared to 70 there, I mean, unless you really are on a budget, you know, that really is a very nice screen to have. Also, the Soar team have just been on the case over the last few months. An experimental version came out. It was running okay. There was 1 or 2 little quirks, and those have been fixed now, and it's now currently completely stable on the Glow HD. I mean, I've done about 30 hours of testing in cars, and very nice. So the good news here is that we've got continuity going forward. I mean, my fear was that, you know, this was going to be something that died down and we're going to be stuck with, you know, aging second-hand models, but we've now got, you know, a new set of products to carry on with. Because I'm not seeing, I mean, I produce these as a bit of a sort of part-time thing in the evenings and unflyable days. As part of this, I mean, I've been buying sat-nav units and various tablets just to try and find something that you know, is perhaps half up to the job, but nothing as yet. Just, you know, does as well as the Kobo. Right, so those are the 3 main units there, and inside, not going inside yet, we're talking about instrument options. Here's the GPS, which is where most of us started off. It's a 16mm square GPS chip. Just requires 3 wires to be connected inside. £15. Very reliable. It's what's used inside the Odie. The Blue Fly uses it as well. So I mean, there's thousands out there, well tried and trusted. And down just below it, here we've got the Blue Fly. There's a guy called Al Dickey in Australia produces these. Same GPS chip here. A few electronics on there, but the main bit is there's a barometric sensor there. That's the chip, which has got a bit of programming to untangle the barometric readings. And there's a small speaker there and 4 connection points over there with a couple of little LEDs and other things. Amazing bit of electronics. I mean, there's a few guys here with them in the room. I mean, I fly with one as my primary instrument. Beautiful simplicity, and Al just simply concentrates on that piece of hardware and the firmware to make it work. He doesn't have to get entangled with the device side or the software side. So a one-man band, but very focused on making sure there's a quality bit of product there. He does a good job. Here's what the Blue Fly looks like in a small container on the side of a Kobo there. There's various containers you can get. Those are the ones I produce. You can also get the, like you've got yours there, haven't you? The 3D printed ones. There's various methods. Some people just put a simple add-on bit like the one here. Some people produce a whole new case to shroud it in. Do people know about the Go Fly that the guy in America makes? I mean, he's produced a whole massive new case that goes around the whole lot, and he's got bespoke electronics in there. There's quite a few different ways of cooking it.
Aren't they a bit more expensive, like $350?
Yeah, $300, I think. What's that? So that's about £200. Yeah. Yeah. And down here, this is another new offering. Guy, we've had these for about a year or so, I believe. From
in the UK, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Sky Bean, who produced them, I mean, they've been going for a couple of years. They first had their original tiny Sky Bean Vario, then they came out with this about a year ago. Another great little device. You can see here it's slightly larger than the Blue Fly, but it's originally designed as a standalone unit. Now that can connect through two means. It can Bluetooth into something like a phone or a tablet. It could Bluetooth to a Kobo, but we have to add the Bluetooth chip into the Kobo, and that's something that people have done, and I'm going to be trialing some just to make sure it is actually bulletproof before we start saying, yeah, it's something to offer out there. But luckily, on the SkyDrop, something we can do right here and now is they've also put a small port in there, like we've got on the Blue Fly here, so we can add a couple of wires, stream the data into the Kobo, and you can use your SkyDrop with moving map. A little bit more expensive. They've just gone up, unfortunately, from what was it, 135 up to 175. But one big bonus of this unit over the Blue Fly, well, in fact, there's two bonuses. One is that it's got its own IGC track log, which is FOI approved. So that means you guys flying paragliders can use that to submit into the Paragliding XC League. Unlike the one from XC Soar, because for a whole variety of idiosyncratic reasons, well, I won't go into, the XC League won't allow. Crazy, but you know, we can use them in the World Championships, but not in the Paragliding XC League. And also it's got its own battery, which is quite useful, because that means that the Kobo battery lasts between 10 and 15 hours, depending upon what model you've got. So at the moment, running a Blue Fly, it only lasts between 5 and 8 hours, because it's also having to power the Blue Fly as well. So a whole mixture of instruments and Kobos there, which work in different ways together, and a whole variety of different prices. I mean, if you really just want a plan view of the world, because you've got other instruments, like glider pilots quite often just want the GPS only option because they've already got 2 or 3 instruments in their cockpit, but they really want a nice big clear 2D map. If you want to work in 3 dimensions, then you really need one of these, because you need barometric altitude to get accuracy in that 3rd dimension. GPS altitude is indicative at best. Usually not too far out, but you know, if it's an XC League flight, you want it to be exact, don't you? Any questions on the instruments before I move forward?
Yeah, are you going to mention the XC Tracer?
I haven't got around to getting hold of one, but I mean functionally it's pretty similar to the SkyDrop, except it comes in a square box. It's also, I don't think it's got a display, has it? No. So the notion is that you are going to have to pair to something else. It hasn't got a serial connection in, so you will have to use Bluetooth, and you can Bluetooth that into a something like a phone or tablet, which will have Bluetooth, and a Kobo once the chip's been added and you've got some slightly techie work to do programming the chip, because you need to send a few programming instructions to make sure those 2 devices only talk to each other and nobody else, because you can imagine the pandemonium on a competition launch if it didn't work that way. Yeah. Right, building